Morning, everybody. My name is Aneida. I'm from Albania. Anybody heard about Albania before? Great. So in my country, I'm a CPA. I co-founded 6 years ago my company called Balkans Capital. And I'm here actually for several reasons. But before coming here, I'd made some research on our industry. And this is the article that popped up. Accounting shortage, growing shortage of accountants and CPAs, labor shortage, CPIs are getting rare, accounting audits suffering a talent shortage. So it seems like a great resignation is hitting accounting industry in the US. Baby boomers are retiring earlier due to the pandemic, and there are not enough graduates to fill the industry. So what you see from the graph is actually a drop of 17% of total employed accountants and auditors in the US. While we have the opposite issue in Albania and in the Balkans in general. Young people, they don't see a future in our countries, and they are leaving the country. So we must do something for this brain drain. Who are we? Our vision is actually to be one of the most big outsourcing companies in Albania for companies in the US. We started in 2016, and we have a range of services offering for foreign and local companies in Albania. And we have assisted many foreign companies start their operations in Albania. This is our vision, to be recognized as the outsourcing accounting hub in the region and employ more than 150 young people from the finance and industry sector by 2023. So, why? I did a simple analysis of the salaries and the services that you could pay as outsourcing. For a person which is junior, 1 to 2, 3 years works, the starting salary would be 49K per year, while for a senior it would be 62. So how much is actually the saving? For a senior tax person, you would pay 62 and then 15% employee cost and some overheads. And then for outsourcing costs, you would pay 30,000 per year only. So there is a saving around 42K in a year, which is 60% lower. And it's the same for junior accountants too. So if you make the math, in 1 year, for a staff of 3 junior people and 1 senior, you would save around 700K in 5 years. And if you have more people in a team, for like 8 people, you would save like $1.4 million in 5 years. So it's a simple math. You improve your margin, so you still charge your clients 150 an hour, but you pay the outsourcing services $17 per hour. You build a competitive advantage through prices because you would reduce your costs. You enjoy a pool of qualified professionals and anticipate any shortage. You focus on your staff internal team competitive advantages. And what is our market? The accounting service market is growing, and the global market for finance and accounting outsources is projected to reach 53 billion by 2026. So this is actually our opportunity there. So who is our target market? Target market will continue to be businesses and NGOs in Albania as our clients. Here in the US, we are looking to offer our services to CPAs and accounting firms and businesses as well. So our competition is local accounting firms in Albania, top markets in finance and accounting, which are in India and Philippines. As I talked here with big accounting firms, some of them are already outsourcing to India and Philippines. So, competitive advantages. We have a very good educated, good speaking English population. Our infrastructure and security, we actually have our IT infrastructure certified, and we have cloud servers, firewall protection, GDPR compliance. Accounting costs, as I mentioned before, could go up to 60% reduction. Employees, we promote always ethics and integrity as our strong values, and there is always non-disclosure agreement with employees. We use several financial software that are used in the US as well, QuickBooks, Zoho, Xero, and different communication channels. And another advantage is that we are only 6-hour difference from the US, which means that you could talk in real time with the team there. Meet the team. I'm Anida. I studied finance and law, and I'm currently doing an MBA at University of East London. Albana Panoti is a certified public accountant in Albania, and this is the rest of the team. So we have a legal person and an IT security consultant. We are looking for local partners, CPAs and accounting firms in the US, and we are open always for investments. Thank you.
Okay. Again, overall, very good. I think a couple things. You kind of identified two problems. Kind of the shortage was one, and then obviously the cost was the other, and you kind of segregated them. You kind of went into that, then who you are, and then back to the secondary problem. I'd almost tie those first two together because they do go hand in hand, and then kind of go into how you can solve that solution. So it's almost compounding. Wow, this is a significant issue, as opposed to there's one, take a break, and then there's another one. I think you identified the market really well. Make sure at the end you ask specifically, what are you looking for from the investor, right? What's that mean numbers-wise? So that we have an idea of, does this make sense for us or not, based on what your ask is. But again, I think overall, just trying to make sure I look up my notes here, everything was really good in terms of what you guys can bring to the table to help solve those issues and problems and how that could work. But again, maybe just tying it a little bit more in order would make a little bit more sense as well. And again, in a 4-minute time frame, a little bit difficult to do some of those things, but I think overall, very, very interesting. So, thank you.
Yeah, good job. I mean, I clearly understand what problem it is that you're trying to solve. I think I get some element of understanding why Albania might be an interesting solution in there. It took me a while to figure out who your market was. My first thought was you're working with companies, and then it struck me as you're augmenting CPA firms. So that took me a little bit, helped me understand. I'd say maybe move that up a little quicker to help me understand who you're really working with on there. I'd love to also get a sense of, with this labor shortage, so I get the versus US labor comparison, but help me understand versus Philippines and India. If really your competition, if in essence you're augmenting and someone's already made this decision about outsourcing, then the cost savings from American labor is probably already implicitly understood, but help me understand why I'd pick you versus a Philippine or an Indian firm. If it's just the 6-hour time difference, is it better education, et cetera? I think that would be who I'd want to really understand the difference of. And I think trying to get a sense, I'd love to just make sure I understand from a regulatory and licensure perspective how working in the exactly that your firm has what they work on in the US as far as like audit, tax, or other things on that end. But yeah, I mean, overall, I'd say the last part is, it's a very dense pitch. Clearly, I would say this deck is not a 4-minute pitch deck. This is probably your full pitch you're coming up and trying to modify in 4 minutes, and that was a challenge to get through. So I'd go back and just distill it down and say, these are the 5 or 10 things I want people to walk away from, and make it a little bit more visual and compact so that you can kind of meet that 4-minute pitch time frame.
Thank you.
And we're a little ahead of time, so if you want to go ahead and address that, Anita, the difference between
about our competition, India and Philippines, we have around 40 students per year, and 20% of them is focused on finance and accounting. So there is an excess amount of educated population in the industry, and it's very good English speaking, and I should always mention that this 6-hour difference, the time zone, it's important because, as I said, the team here could have the real-time communication with the team in Albania, while for India and Filipinos, there is a 12-hour difference. When they sleep, you wake up, so there is not really this real-time connection that you might have. So these are some of the advantages, and we have the infrastructure in place, IT certification for our IT infrastructure. So, I mean, we could go and compete there. We should just start.
The analogy that came into my head was Albania's to CPA as like Estonia might be to tech dev, right? Where I don't want that massive time difference, better English speaking, et cetera. So as an investor, that's where I went in my head, and I don't know if that analogy holds relatively well.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'll use it.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you so much
Yep.
for your
All right, thanks, Anita.